Then what brings you here both today?
Just to stand up for a real good cause that's not being talked about enough, and just strengthen numbers.
Yeah, same. Just to have a voice and be a part of something where people are suffering suppression that gets missed a lot in the media.
So how do you plan on making a difference?
By coming today, by talking amongst friends, by putting events on, making sure that it's spoken about, making sure that
platforms that we have to raise more awareness. A lot of people don't know what's going on. If it wasn't for going on Instagram and seeing what other people, fellow friends have posted, you don't see this in the media, in the mainstream.
We have like WhatsApp groups and stuff as well to speak out, try and make a difference.
Have you dived into or been taught like Black history or the involvement of Black history within British history at all?
Yeah, I have since I was born. My mum's white, my dad's black. So my mum's side, my mum's always made sure I understand Black history and Black culture.
But it's always self-taught though. It's not something that's freely given. You have to search for it.
Do you believe not enough blacks? Wait, do you believe blacks not knowing enough of their history plays a part in some not taking part in the Black agenda?
Yeah, I think again it goes down to suppression and people being suppressed. It goes on through.
And just feeling like they haven't got the voice as well to express these things.
Apparently, the migraine African slavery has been happening for years now. What do you think may have caused this?
I think it comes down to money,
poverty, government, but money is the big thing. People don't care because there's no wealth in that country or civilization even. So it's poverty and
no one to fight it and stop it.
Do you think Gaddafi's fall may have played a factor in what's happening in Libya today? Gaddafi was the president. After he was killed by rebels, they haven't had any law enforcement, and the Libyan slave trade has taken advantage of that. Do you think if he was still in power, this would happen?
Who knows? I think it might have played a part, but I think it would have happened anyway with everything that's going on with Libya.
As shocking as it seems, do you think the slave trade is possible due to... Oh, I already asked that question.
That's right.
How do you feel about Africans being sold for estimated £400 in Libya?
It's disgusting. It's so wrong on every single level. It doesn't matter what race, what ethnicity. No one should ever be sold. People are not property. I'm the same. I can't. Even now I'm here. Like for me, it hasn't really sunk in yet. I can't really accept that still happening, and like seeing pictures and seeing everyone here. Knowing that people are being sold, like it's mind blowing that's happening in the world to this day that we live in. It's horrible.
Do you think the cultural differences between blacks and whites have played a part in the media not featuring the story enough?
I think the way media is now, they only want to publish stories on things like Kardashians, people, like just money, it's just bullshit. They're not real life issues. Unless people start making a stand.
That's what we want to hear as well. They don't have any. That's why things like this are really important to go to.
Do you believe that there is no intellectual, political and business leader or role model to know in our culture to help us talk about these issues and bring them to light?
I think it's long gone are the days of like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. I think maybe we need Nelson Mandela obviously.
We need some presence.
We need someone that's figures. There's no one at the minute that's doing
identify.
I think there is, and I think that's something I want to search for as well. More in.
I think our generation needs to step forward.
The reason why this may be happening is because normally in our culture, people who are brought to power and support our values are immediately co-opted into the mainstream. Do you think they are being shut down forcibly, or maybe they're scared to talk because they'll feel their careers at jeopardy?
Well, you don't really know a lot what goes on behind the scenes. There probably are people that are stepping forward that are trying to make a stand and are getting either silenced in whatever ways,
Do blacks finally need to form a political group of their own to deal with our own issues?
I mean, I think there's lots of BLM and Black Lives Matter groups everywhere and talks, but I think, like you said earlier, it's about more people going to them and more people understanding and knowing that it's still going on, rather than just, the environment and society we live in, especially in London. It's almost like you just forget to care because of all the other, the way we're living. So I think it's up to individual people to make more of an effort to search for these events, tell their friends, do more to help, search for people in a higher up that are doing something to help and support them, because there definitely must be people out there that are, but it's just educating and finding the knowledge of people that are out there that are helping.
Do you believe in the order to gain power so that we may resolve our issues, that we must strengthen our economic power? We have to build quality and valuable businesses of our own. Because once we have a step in the door of making money in this country, they have to pay attention to our issues. Because
money talks.
Exactly, you get to control the economy. Exactly.
Yeah. I think for anyone. I don't really understand the question. Sorry, what was the question?
Basically, the question.
Growing your own business, grow people more.
If enough black people build their own business in England,
100%.
and they link together,
Yeah.
they'll be able to have a foothold in the economy.
Yeah, definitely. It doesn't. No.
As a ethnic group that we've ever come together in such a capacity. But if you look at other communities, there are a lot more. They build and give jobs, within the community. But within black communities, I think it was a very good idea. But there's a lot of disparity within black communities, within the different countries. We see ourselves very separate. So I think it's very hard for that to happen. As much as I think it is a good economic.
I think it's because these people are suppressed, and it goes up the chain. It goes up the
as countries that to come together as black and identify as black, we identify so separately that we almost struggle to find unison as one.
Another question, a very controversial question. Very controversial. This is not an attack on faith at all, but do you believe the downfall of blacks could have started in the church?
No, I think it's whether you're religious or not. I think it was a place for people in very, very hard times, like anyone, like any religion, to put their faith into something, to believe in something, and come together. So I think
more than anything, rather than.
I think maybe it would have segregated some way down the line, but I think more than not, it gives people hope and faith.
So would you say? Because I go to church, so don't get me wrong, Catholic boy, everything like that. Do you go to church?
I don't, but I don't.
Well,
know.
as a young, I can speak for myself. As a young boy going to church, I always looked at this white figure Jesus, and from a young age, I've always questioned myself, why is Jesus white? Like, I've only seen him classes as a white guy with blonde eyes, like blonde hair, blue eyes. And due to some research, I found that the portrait of him was done in the image of a guy called Caesar Borgia, son of a Pope Alexander IV. So do you believe by altering historic images, also Santa Claus, because historically he's Saint Nicholas, he was portrayed as being a black man and gradually turned white overnight. Do you think by systematically altering our history, it forcibly makes us bow down in a sense? So we don't know our history, so we're not gonna. Some people will never see that some people are wrong. The elitists, what I'm talking about. So do you believe that some of our history has been whitewashed?
I think a lot of the history has.
Stories, isn't it? So history is made up of what I say, and I think if you go back really, really into like. So I don't even think it's black history that's been made up. I'm sure there's elements of all history that are just compiles of stories after stories after stories. I think kings used to do it in terms of when they reigned, what they wanted people to believe of their rule. So half the time history has been fabricated, and I'm sure it has been whitewashed and made into elements that suit whoever at that moment in time. Yeah, but I wouldn't say it's just a black issue. I'd say it's probably an issue.
Like they say, the winner of war takes the spoils. Also, what can the black people in the pop culture do to spread awareness?
Everyone has got the platform to. You know, all it takes is for them to post something that automatically raises awareness to millions of followers that they've got.
Yeah.
Because one person could have posted this event and we wouldn't have a bigger outcome than this.
Yeah, of course. But no, they want to model shit.
Yeah.
And lastly, do you believe individualism is also a harm in our culture to make strides together? Because it feels like we've always been put to come against each other. If we was to regroup like we are today, do you think we'll be able to tackle our issues?
Yeah, I think there needs to be more unity and regrouping. There's a lot of segregation.
And not just the negative like issues, you know what I mean? There needs to be a lot more unity, like you said, and coming together just because, rather than because something has provoked us to do so. Because there's still then an undercurrent of anger and frustration and sadness, which is unison in itself, but it'd be nice to do it in a positive aspect and not always in heartbreak.
What brings you here today?
I came here because I felt compelled to. I can't believe that in this day and age, slavery is still going on, 2017. And we must not only forget that it's not only happened blatantly in Libya, but it's happening in this country, but it's just much more underground. In a lot of places around the world, a lot of privileged Western societies have got slaves, and it's just, we can't do that anymore. This is something that should have been eradicated a long time ago. And the fact that people are blatantly doing it in numerous countries all over the world, we have to stop it. And when I say we, I mean the world as one, not just black people, but everyone has to say this, because we mustn't forget it's not only black people that are being treated as slaves now, subjected to slavery, but a lot of other nationalities as well, and it has to stop. That's why, you know, today we're all coming together, so many of us.
How do you plan on making a difference? Or would you say that you already answered that?
Okay.
Have you ever dived into or been taught black history or the involvement of black history within the British history?
I must say, sadly, that my education, when I was worthy of being educated, when it was important, well, it's always important to educate oneself, but when I was a child there wasn't enough education. I know things are changing with regards to black history. Kids today are coming to me, black, white, from all over the world, or whose parents are from all over the world, are coming to me and telling me about Harriet Tubman, about all sorts of people. And so to me, I can see there is a difference within the education that I was given when I was a kid to now. It's important, because what happens if you're not told the truth as accurately as possible? It gets diluted, and once it gets watered down, it then begins to disappear, and people start to forget key figures, dates, the difference between someone being a dark-skinned black person, the difference between somebody being a light-skinned person of colour, still subjected to the same racism. It's just as important for us to remember that as it is many other things. So, you know, for me, it's important that we teach black history to children, teenagers, older people. A lot of older people don't even know it. So it's just as important that, you know, we have to educate ourselves. And to be honest with you, I've got a lot of learning to do, because there are so many things that I don't know. But I'm grateful that the internet is out there, and that there are many groups that you can sign online and take part.
Apparently the migrant African slave has been happening for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
What do you think may be the cause of this?
I think for a place to open their doors to a people and really mean that they're opening their doors to a people means that they won't have to go to places where they're not welcome. And it's sad that there are still places where people are subjected to so much wicked treatment and feel that that's the place that they had to go to in desperation. But we here have to still say it's not on. We have to talk to the UN, we have to talk to our governments worldwide and say we have to put pressure pressure on these countries who think that it's acceptable to get away with this. It's not.
3,000 migrants have died trying to actually get into Europe from the Mediterranean Sea.
Oh my gosh.
Do you think Europeans, well, some Europeans are comfortable enough ignoring this migrant crisis?
I know that a lot of Europeans are angry that it's been ignored. I know a lot of people who are standing up and speaking for these migrants that are coming.
Okay, when I say Europeans,
yeah.
I mean elitist Europeans.
Oh, you
yeah,
do?
elitist. Let me use the right word.
Yeah. Well, the elitists are. Where do I start with that? If we don't make a loud enough noise, if we don't shame people into doing what is right, if we don't fight with our words and our actions, the elite are where they are because of, be it historical wealth or something else. If we can cut the vein, a source of finance that supplies the elite, they'll feel it. But we have to do it actively. We have to do it as a unit, as a people. A couple of people here and there, it's not going to do anything. But if certain people were to say, I'm not going to bank at this bank anymore, or I'm not going to use this phone company anymore, they'll feel it. So that's the length that we have to go to, sadly. But that's the way forward.
How much time more do you have?
You can ask me a couple more, because to be honest with you, some of those I don't think you want to use. But
oh, those good sound bites.
Okay.
Yeah.
Couple more.
How do you feel about apparently Africans being sold for estimate $400 in Libya as of now?
I'm so angry and saddened to hear that. It makes me want to cry, if I'm honest. How can you put a value on a human life? To me, it makes no sense that someone can even bring themselves to hand over money for somebody else. We're talking about human beings here. We're talking about the potential world leader of, there is so much hope in every single life out there. Every one of us is important. And who are you to claim that you're better? And hand over $400 and do what? Treat someone with such wickedness. And I'm angry. I'm angry, babe. That's how it makes me feel. It makes me feel angry.
Do you think that the cultural differences between blacks and whites have played a part in the media not featuring the story enough?
Say it again, sorry?
Do you feel that the cultural differences between blacks and whites have played a part in the media not featuring the story enough?
We all know that there are certain truths that we have to shout from the rooftops, and still the media choose to make it look as if it's a minute detail going on. And we do have to put a bit of pressure on the media. But this says a lot. We've blocked roads here. People are walking around going, what's this all about? Tourists are looking and asking questions. If that's the way we have to go forward, for now, that's the way we have to go forward. But yes, the media, it's always the way. The media go quiet on what they need to go quiet on.
So
but that's a whole other...
They're not giving the right energy towards this inhuman act, so whereas...
Absolutely, but
Paris and Manchester disasters...
When I posted... Okay, in answer to your question, when I posted the information about this march today, some people who I know are conscious people were telling me, this is the first I've known about, I'm hearing about this. A lot of people did not know that this was going on at all. Yet you go on Twitter, you go on Instagram, the information is there. So why is it that there is this radio silence on national television? I'd be interested to see if they put anything on about this march, this protest today.
I feel a bit sorry for these people trying to work.
I feel sorry for the slaves in Libya.
I understand that's a serious issue. I don't have any work to do. But you can protest there or there. You don't have to be in the middle of the road. This is the reason we're here, because we want to draw attention to the cause. People are acknowledging what's going on. I understand the reasons and I know all about it, and it's terrible.
Yeah,
but
so little discomfort.
What are you doing about it?
It's nothing.
What are you doing about it?
It?
What am I doing?
Yeah, what are you doing
what
about
are you doing?
What? I'm standing here protesting. Exactly. This will get us in the news.
very complicated issue what we're talking about.
It's not complicated about it. It's human life.
It's complicated.
It's not complicated.
It's human rights. It's a basic issue. Why should it have to be complicated?
It's human life.
Well, the background to it.
The background to it.
If somebody has the means and has the power to end it all, to end all the suffering, but they won't, for whatever reason.
I think that's an oversimplification.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be. Things don't have to be complicated.
It's either the wrong way or the right way.
People in power.
If I did something wrong, you would arrest me, right? There's no grey lines. It's black and white, right? It's black and white. If I broke the law right now, you arrest me. If I broke the law right now, you arrest me.
Regardless of the color.
It's black and white. There's no grey areas.
Well, no. I've got discretion. Something called discretion.
Listen, if someone was doing that in this country, you have a problem with that. You have a problem with all the other young kids being pedos. You have a problem with that.
We don't even comment that well in this country. I'm not disagreeing with you. I can't always go into my personal life. I'm disagreeing. I think it's disgraceful what's happening to kids being trafficked here and elsewhere. And obviously the West getting involved. If you let me speak, the West getting involved obviously hasn't helped because these countries have disintegrated and then there's been a vacuum, power vacuum. The regime before wasn't great, the regime now is great.
But who's destabilized it? When Gaddafi was there, no one heard about slavery. Who destabilized it? The same thing in Iraq, the same thing in Afghanistan. They go there and then destabilize it and then go.
Have I disagreed with you at any stage?
No, you haven't. You haven't.
Have you ever dived into the to Black history and the involvement of it in the British history?
To an extent, I wouldn't say dived in fully, but yeah, to an extent.
Do you believe blacks not knowing enough of their history plays a part in not taking a part in the agenda?
Yeah, 100%. I think anyone, regardless of white, black, Chinese, whatever, you need to kind of know your history so you kind of know how things have been throughout time, do you know what I mean? And why certain things are happening now. So just for anyone, really, it's good to know your history.
3,000 migrants have died trying to get into Europe, through the Mediterranean Sea. Do you think some elitist Europeans are comfortable knowing this, that there's a migrant crisis happening right now?
Yeah, I think they're comfortable, yeah. Like it is what it is to them, I think, innit? Do you know what I mean? Probably in their minds they're thinking what can they do, what more they think they can do, but yeah, so it's a bit mad right now.
Do you think Gaddafi's fall played a factor in where Libya is today?
Yeah, 100%. If he was about, I don't think it would have been as worse or worse at all, so who knows? Good question, but I don't know. Him in power seemed like Libya was better, you know, so it's hard to say, but yeah.
As shocking as it seems, do you believe that slave trade is possible? Oh no, we would have covered that. So that was a counter question. How do you feel about apparently Africans being sold for an estimated £400 in Libya?
Obviously, it's disgusting, man. Like, do you know what I mean? Just the idea you're selling another human being, that's disgusting. Shouldn't be happening. So, you know. Disgusting, literally.
Do blacks finally need to form a political group of our own to deal with our issues instead of allowing other people to try and manage our issues?
I don't know, it's hard to say. Like, I don't know what the solution is or what happens, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that was to happen, like, would that get kind of squashed down or like, do you know what I mean? It's hard to say, man, because it may help, but would it be allowed to happen? That's the question. So it's a tough one to find solutions for this. So
how can Britain's black community try to organise themselves as a unit to stop this act against human rights?
I think it's just putting more pressure on the government. That's where it comes from, you know what I mean? They're the ones who control things and created that you know, rule of law in general, you know what I mean? The laws. So sometimes obviously you've got to follow by it, but you put pressure on them and that's where it kind of comes through. So everyone comes together and puts pressure on them. Change may happen, so.
Would you say Link Up TV is like part of the British media now? Like has a strong foothold as part of the British media?
Yeah, Link Up TV's been around for a long time. So yeah, they do have an impact in kind of youth culture and stuff. So yeah, and they're doing, you know, good things.
So what kind of black people in our pop culture do to spread awareness in the culture from your point of view?
Like we recently interviewed a few, so like Stefan Dunn was there, Black the Ripper, Miss Banks, like various kind of like Carla, Loki. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who are kind of expressing their political views. So obviously a few of them have to be careful what they say because of the amount of public eyes onto them. But regardless, a lot of them are still outspoken. And yeah, man. So things are kind of coming together.